Live from the headquarters of Book It Better, it's Max Whitman, it's Kato, it's Book It Better's Impact Wrestling.
We're back.
We are finally back live, thank God. I feel like the last 3 episodes were disastrous. Long story short, we just got a little busy, took kind of a little bit of a hiatus. We had recorded a few videos, but we didn't have access to a microphone, so 3 episodes there were recorded without a microphone, and then we kind of threw the audio on at the end, and it made it all cattywampus. So,
A little choppy.
but we are back now. We are fully live now. This is being recorded in real time. The audio's in real time, so we're good to go. This is June, week 4. It's week 4 of June. It's Wednesday. It's Impact Wrestling. We are 2 weeks away from Slammiversary. And we got a heck of a show. So, you want to just jump right into it?
Yeah, right. Let's dive into it.
Let's do it. All right. So, click yes here. All right. We are opening with Dolph Ziggler going one-on-one with the returning Johnny Impact. He's back from injury. It scores a 67. We got bout that had great heat, good wrestling. Dolph defeats Johnny Impact. Why do I always burp when I'm recording these things? I
don't know.
I'm eating some Doritos here. I'm getting Dorito burps. That's what it is. Defeats Johnny Impact in just under 25 minutes by pinfall. Dolph getting better at his gimmick. Got the show off to a strong start. They had a pretty equal performance, 62 to 61.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm shocked actually.
Yeah, I'm kind of pleased. It's funny. I'm happy and disappointed at the same time. I'm happy that Johnny Impact's performance is as good. And I'm a little disappointed in Dolph.
I wanted Dolph to be closer to the 70s.
Yeah, a lot of money poured into Dolph here. A lot of money. But a 67 is good, and honestly, for Impact, for TNA, for what the show is, I mean, I'll take 67 as a main event at this level.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a 25-minute match. So
yeah.
That could have hurt also.
Good solid way to open our show, though. Moving on to the next segment. There it is. So, basically what's happening here, Dolph Ziggler gets on the mic after he beats Johnny Impact, and he basically calls out Austin Aries.
Yeah.
And he says, there's a reason that Austin Aries walked out on the WWE. It's because he knew in his heart that he couldn't cut it there. Austin Aries' music hits, Champ comes out, comes to the top of the apron. He says, that might be true, but there's a reason that the WWE canned Dolph Ziggler. There's a reason he's here at Impact Wrestling with the best in the world. Very interesting. Dolph is going to basically say to him, hey, well, you know what? Then why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Face me one-on-one at Slammiversary for the world title. And Austin Aries gladly accepts.
And this is perfect. Perfect way to start the show off. The crowd's getting more excited about what's going on. So, we're ready to roll.
Yeah.
Into our next match here.
Ready to roll in it.
Crowd's already warmed up.
So our Slammiversary main event is set. Dolph Ziggler versus Austin Aries in 1 week's time at Slammiversary. Let's move on to the next segment here. And it's just DJZ versus Jay Lethal. So Jay Lethal is out. Scores a 58. Really, actually, not that bad. Lethal carried that. I mean,
I'm very impressed by Lethal getting a 64. It's only a 6-minute match. 64
yeah.
Against DJZ. I mean...
Yeah, Lethal runs away with the match here. It's basically what's...
If he's getting a 64 with DJZ, can you imagine him with Dolph or Johnny Impact?
Yeah. It's actually... I mean, it's Dolph... It's not Dolph, I'm sorry. It's Lethal showing off why he's here, essentially. We really haven't had many matches. He's kind of been out doing his scouting. Still kind of don't really know why. He's got this big announcement, this big thing that's going to change Impact Wrestling. But we haven't really seen him in the ring all that much.
Yeah, well, let's point this out also. Last week, I said he's been scouting a lot of X-Division guys. Mm-hmm. And this week, he's walked right through DJZ, who was an X-Division guy.
Yep.
Maybe.
Hammers DJZ.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but that's where we're going now. We get any worker improvements here? No worker improvements. Because DJZ sucks. Anyway, so it gets a 58. Solid match. Moving on. We're going to get a tag match here. It's Tommy Mercer and Bram defeat Moose and Rich Swann. In a bout that had decent wrestling, not much heat. Mercer and Bram defeat Moose and Rich Swann in 10 minutes. Mercer is going to defeat Moose by pinfall with an exploder suplex. It scores a 48. Really not bad. Not terrible.
It's not bad, but if Moose could have got his performance up to maybe in the mid-40s, even 40, I think he would have pushed this match to the low 50s.
Yeah.
So, pretty much, we're trying to find a home for Moose. Just don't know where it is, man.
I mean, and it's funny because I'm not a big fan of Moose. Yeah. We'll move on to the next segment here, but I'm not a big fan of Moose. But you've kind of convinced me to keep him around a little bit, but it's just having a hard time finding a home for him.
Yeah. I mean, he's worth keeping because, he has a fan base and he puts on decent matches, but man, it hurts when he matches like that.
It's funny. He falls into that category of, God, what are we doing with this guy? Yeah. He's not very good. But at the same time, you don't want to let him go because you're afraid he'll become a star someplace else.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, we got an angle here. It's featuring Trevor Lee and Matt Sydal. Basically, here's what's going to happen. So Trevor Lee, he's just basically cutting a promo backstage saying, he wanted to give, he wanted to be a nice guy. He wanted to give Jay White his rematch.
Like Trevor Lee is.
Just, like Trevor Lee is. He wanted to give him his rematch, but Jay White had to go and get hurt. Oh, that's the other thing. You probably wouldn't have noticed that. Jay White suffered a torn MCL working someplace else. So, because of that injury, he can't get can't claim his rematch. He said, Trevor Lee says, he's soft. Because he's soft, he won't get a rematch. And he's soft just like the rest of the X Division. And that's why he, Trevor Lee, is going to hold on to the X Division belt for a long time. Matt Sydal shows up, comes in, says, well, if everybody's so soft, then you certainly, I never got my rematch when I lost the title, so you certainly wouldn't mind putting that belt on the line against me, would you? Kind of backs Trevor Lee into a corner. There's your match. So, Slammiversary, Trevor Lee, Matt Sydal, X Division title.
I think that's going to be an awesome match.
I think it's going to be a good match,
These two guys can go.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
I hope so. And Trevor Lee, young, 24 years old. I hope that working with a guy like Sydal can build him up into somebody who can carry that X Division.
Hopefully, year, 2, 3 years.
Yep.
He'll jump up to that Canadian title range.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. He got the tools.
He definitely has the tools. Moving along here. We get a good solid match here. 59, a good match here. It's Anarchy versus the Canadian Bulldogs. And, let's see. Good wrestling, not much heat. Anarchy defeats the Bulldogs when Sami Callihan defeats Cedric Rougeau by pinfall. Davey Boy Smith, head and shoulders above everybody else. Cedric Rougeau, the weak link. Yeah, we knew that was going to be the case.
Davey shined in this match. It's 62.
Where's he at?
He carried the whole match.
Yeah. He's the 62. Next closest is Sami at a 51 and Cage at a 50. Rougeau is down there at the 38s, but Rougeau is young. He's 25.
Yeah.
He's green. He's green. He does. Hopefully working with Bulldog will kind of bring him along there. But Cage and Callihan, they're vets. They're seasoned. Yep. They know what they're doing in there, and they're starting to make a name for themselves as a tag team. Two singles guys who couldn't really find their way.
Right.
They seem to have found their way as a tag team.
Perfect niche, actually. If you look at their performances, they're right up there with the Motor City Machine Guns, and they're right up there with the Briscoes.
Yeah.
I feel like when Cedric gets a little better, which he is. Last week I think he was a 37 or 33 in his match. Once he gets a little better in mid-40s, close to the 50s, these Canadian Bulldogs are going to be, man, they're going to be good.
Yeah. I really like the way the tag team division is heading. It's basically our entire mid-card at this point.
Any improvements? Or
let's see, worker improvements. Brian Cage improving in his performance skills.
Okay, that's good.
So not bad. 59 rated match. I'll take that. So here we have our main event. All right, it is our 8-man tag team elimination match. It scores a 66. Let's see, in terms of work, Chris Jericho, head and shoulders of everyone else. Nick Aldis was the weak link.
He was horrible. Long
story short, it's a good wrestling, decent reaction from the crowd, and Cody Rhodes' team is going to win this match. So we're going to ignore this elimination. It says Kenny Omega was eliminated first, then Petey, then Pentagon, then Eddie Edwards, then Nick Aldis. We're going to avoid all of that. We're going to ignore all that, and we'll explain what's going on here.
All right.
So basically, what happens? The key eliminations. Chris Jericho eliminates Kenny Omega. That's kind of the key one. match comes down to Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho. So the two captains, they're in there going at it one-on-one. Finally, everyone else is eliminated. They're duking it out. It's going to fisticuffs. Mm-hmm. And Kenny Omega comes running back in, distracts Chris Jericho. Cody takes advantage of it, picks up the victory. So Cody's going to best Chris Jericho here after Kenny Omega runs back in and kind of gives a little payback to Jericho for eliminating him cleanly earlier in the match.
Little Bullet Club help there.
Little Bullet Club help. I guess we get... Yeah, so Chris Jericho pulls an 81 in this match.
I mean, he's...
he's Chris Jericho.
He's
Chris Jericho. Jericho, he might be in time decline. He's almost 50 years old, but you wouldn't know it based on watching his matches.
But you know what? This is the crazy part. So, Cody's team, if you guys remember, Parks, Omega, and Edwards all won their match, I believe. They all won their match, so they all picked their team to be on Cody's team. Now, if you guys look at their performance, all these guys are 60 and above. So these guys actually picked and built a strong team.
Right. They were the clear-cut favorites here, and they win it. Jericho was in a position where he had to pretty much carry his entire team on his back.
He almost did. He was the last guy.
He carried it.
It was just funny noticing that. Wow, these guys are pretty much all similar performance-wise, and they all picked each other to be on each other's team.
What did Park pull? I'm curious what Jill
62. Put. Him and Kenny Omega both had 62. Eddie Edwards was 60.
All right, so that's Kenny's highest-rated match so far since he's been here.
I will say he's actually getting better match after match.
Yeah.
So
I think it's the popularity. As that popularity builds, I think we'll start seeing some serious good matches from him.
At the same time, I think this is also Cody's highest-rated match, 69. He's almost cracked a 70.
Yeah, it might be.
That's crazy.
It might be. So anyway, there it is. Our 4-way ladder match next week on Impact. Cody Rhodes, Joseph Park, Kenny Omega, and Eddie Edwards for the brand new Canadian Championship.
You know what makes this more exciting?
What's that?
You know this match should get no less than a 60.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a good main event. Yeah. That's going to be a good main event. Well, let's go to the end of the show, see what we got here. What do you think we're going to pull here, Kato?
I think we pull a strong 69.
I was going to say 67.
I was feeling a little freaky.
Oh, what do we got from Scott D'Amore here? It's a bad idea to have Nick Aldis. Okay, so we called that match in the ring, and Nick Aldis doesn't really have the psychology to do that, so I'm sure that affected the match.
Yeah, and it showed.
A 66. All right. Okay. Not a great show, but certainly not a bad show. It still increases our popularity in all the regions that we're televised in. Yep. We get some developments. We get a Slammiversary main event.
Yep.
We get a Canadian title main event for Impact next week. We get our X Division title. We get that match announced for Slammiversary. And we see Anarchy building momentum heading into Slammiversary. Briscoes still don't have an opponent for Slammiversary.
I think they may have just thrown their name in the hat.
They may have thrown the name in that hat. So we'll have to see. You can guarantee that next week the Briscoes are going to be out looking for an opponent for Slammiversary. So we'll see if Anarchy's worked their way in.
All right.
Folks, thanks for joining us. That's all we got for tonight. Join us next week once again for more Book It Better, more Impact Wrestling. Thanks for stopping by. Click like, click subscribe, and join us again next time and anyone after that.